Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. I'm Tim Stone, hanging out in the forest here with the bears and turkeys and occasional human being, and I'm hanging out here with my bestie and with my co-host. So many amazing people here today. But I'm going to turn it over here to Mr. Jim Fuhs to turn it over to, and we're just going to play a little dancing over here. Jim,
Well,
take
good. I'll just say good day because we know this is an international show and we have people usually tuning in from all over the world. So I know it's morning here in the suburbs of Atlanta where I am today. And at least the sun is shining. There's no rain, no wind. I do want to take a moment to send prayers out to the people of Western Kentucky, which actually Kara's not too far from there right now. I think she's in Louisville, and where there's a lot of great bourbon for those bourbon drinkers. Because what a devastating event last week with these tornadoes, lives lost. But my daughter, who went to the University of Kentucky, they did a telethon yesterday and raised over $3 million to help the people that were affected by the disaster. So shout out to the University of Kentucky and Coach Calipari and Coach Stoops from the basketball and football teams had their players involved. They were answering phones, talking to people. It was really neat. Shared it on my Facebook page if you want to go back and watch that. But Tim, we've had some exciting stuff going on here lately. We're getting in some articles. We just had an article where we talk about some of the things that you might want to be aware of in video in 2022 with our friends over at Wave Video,
Shout out
as
to
well
Wave
as
Video.
what we're doing with Ross Brand and live streaming predictions for 2022. That's going to be coming out soon as well. And then can't forget our friends at Now Marketing Group as well. Social Media Week, Lima, not Lima, Lima, Ohio.
Shout out to
made a lot
Lima
of good
Beans.
friends. Yes.
Lima.
Yes. So lots of things going on as we close out 2021. Is that what year it is? It seems like it's almost over. And in a couple weeks, we'll have our prediction show on the 29th. Right? Did I get that right, Tim? 29th?
Something like that.
Yeah. So only this show, and then we've got 3 shows to go, including this show for the year, and then it'll be over to almost all 2022. That'll be makes me almost think of was it Welcome Back Cotter was in room 222, but I digress. But excited to have our friend Kara Oelker join us today. She co-host a show with Tim that if you aren't watching, it's on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's showing up with perspectives on cancer. Very powerful show. You will see a lot of raw emotion, so it's not for the faint-hearted. And if you don't have a I don't know, what would I say, a soul or a heart, and don't find it
tissue.
You shouldn't. You need to go to therapy. That there, I said it. But yeah, you guys are doing a great job with that show. And but today we're going to talk with Cara about how we can own our personal power as an entrepreneur. So with that, Cara, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I don't know. I know I've missed some things, but very interested to see what you have to say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Tim and Jim. So my name is Kara Oelker. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. Right now, I'm in Louisville, so visiting some family. And so yes, I do want to say my heart goes out to the families who lost their lives and family members and their homes and their community due to the tornadoes. That was pretty devastating to hear about, and it's about 2 hours away from where I was. So and that's awesome that your daughter's school put together a fundraiser. So I do want to, mention that. That's pretty amazing. But yeah, so I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I am a personal power coach. And I also do branding, but it really is all around personal power. And I help people deepen the roots to their personal power, which is why my business is called Deepened Roots. And that is super important to me because of my story and my truth and everything regarding perspectives, showing up perspectives on cancer. That I co-host with Tim every Tuesday at 8 Eastern Standard Time. And but yeah, so I do that. And of course, branding, personal power coaching, and we have a lot of other amazing things in the lineup as well that we want to get rolling for showing up. So pretty busy right now.
That's awesome.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So Cara, why is uncovering your personal power so important? And how does that relate to entrepreneurship and solopreneurship anyway?
Yes. So especially if you're just in it on your own, you're a coach, you are a mentor, you are in that spectrum, which a lot of people, including myself, I got into it a little bit before everyone's like, yes, let's be a coach, because pandemic hit and we have a lot of amazing things to share, right? And when you are especially a solopreneur and you're coaching, you are told everything that you need to be doing to succeed. And a lot of times that ends up forcing or making people think that they need to abandon themselves and abandon what they feel is right for them as well in the process. There is a balance. Yes, there are certain formulas, there are certain things you need to do. And at the same time, it's so important to really own yourself and stay grounded and feel like, you are the captain of your own ship. And so that is very important. And that is a mission that I am very passionate about with anyone, any human being in the world, especially coaches and solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. It's so important for us as well.
Well, and I think just having a coach in general is extremely important for an entrepreneur. I know Tim and I have talked about this. I mean, I can actually say this over the years because we've been together for over 3 years on this show. And I work with Kelly Roach is my business coach, but even sometimes you still need to work with people that are going to help you with your mindset. Because it's very hard when you do it on your own, because the issue there is you're going to make excuses. Coach helps keep you accountable, right? And if you're not willing to be accountable, then a good coach is probably going to fire you as a client, and you're going to end up alone again, eating Cheetos, since you can't find Fritos apparently, according to Chad, unless you look really hard right now.
Yes. Well, and a lot of times when we abandon our personal power, we abandon ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. I just want to do whatever this person tells me to do, instead of, how do I make it to where it's still, people still see me or still see my brand, right? And so the core of it, again, is just abandoning yourself. So going to accountability, which is 100% important. How do you honor yourself every day as a human? And how do you honor your business every day and the way that serves you and your business and your clients? What is your truth and how are you going to honor that? That is, without that, you don't really have a leg to stand on. You're not grounded. And that is so important especially when you're running a business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And we should thank everyone that's tuning in the comments. Make anything easy is here. She says, awesome to see you, Tim and Jim. Thank you for being here. And thank you. Russ Hedge is in the house. Hey, Russ. He's always so supportive.
Yes.
And everyone else that is tuning in, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. So Jim, do you want to take this next question for Cara? And everyone who's tuning in, let us know if you have any questions for Cara. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them as we roll through the conversation. And let us know, do you drink coffee or tea? We want to know that too. That's important.
Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Cara, how do we know if we've lost it or if we have it? And what is it?
It's the pitfalls of writing my own questions. So it is personal power, the topic of the show. And how do you know if we've lost it or if we have it? Again, if you honor yourself, we all have days where all we want to do is just sit in the corner of our room and eat our dinner and just be left alone or something, or watch Netflix, a little too long, or, leave some dishes in the sink and just not deal with any responsibility for a little bit. We all have those moments where we want to do that. At the end of the day, though, if you're like, but I need to get up and I need to do this for me, it's not about perfection. It's not about, having everything nice and orderly. It's, do my to-do lists line up with what I need to do? Am I spinning circles? Or do I feel like, okay, maybe I'm a little nervous about what I'm doing next, but I have a plan, So if you feel a little out of control in your little storm and you are running away from it into the woods, like Tim, then
literally, I'm here right now.
Then, and you're like, I'm just avoiding this. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to honor my business. I'm not going to follow up on these important clients. I am going to give in to my imposter syndrome. I'm going to run away and abandon myself and my business. That is losing your personal power. Knowing, feeling your feelings and saying, yes, I am terrified because I am leveling up right now, but I'm going to do this. And really feeling that, taking it in, and then moving forward, even if it's, I'm going to have that cup of coffee. And then I'm going to write out what I need to do real quick. Bam. That's how you have it.
Cheers.
Yeah. So there's the difference. Feeling your feelings is super important too. I do want to stress. I know I'm talking to a bunch of males. Stereotypically,
We have
masculine isn't too keen on feeling feelings. And that's okay. Also, in business, it's all about action, right? Got to act. But if you just take a moment and say, what is going on? What's stopping me? That's key. Just think it, feel it, move forward. Give your feelings a name. Even if you have this self-sabotage mentality and you're like, I'm feeling fear, or, I know some people who are like, oh my gosh, my imposter syndrome's creeping up. Hilda's at it again. Like people actually give their imposter syndromes an actual person's name. So,
I mean, I've heard of guys naming their car, but never their feelings. I mean, that's interesting. I don't know. I guess I'd have to think about that one.
Be a trailblazer, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah, Bo's at it again.
Yes. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break for a message from our sponsor, StreamYard, which we love to produce this show and Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer and so many other shows. So we'll be right back. And on the other side, we'll be doing the Tim. So get your fingers ready. we are back on the Tim and Jim show doing the Tim dance. And we are here with the one and only Kara Oelker talking about personal power so Kara Oelker, what are some ways we can all tap into our personal power? Let's get into the details here. How can we actually do this?
Just one, looking at things in the present moment. What's running through my head right now? Am I excited, anxious? Am I overwhelmed? Again, naming those feelings, right? And then from there, feeling whatever's going on. If you need a break for a second, I know it sounds a little different, but even if you're at your desk and it's a bit of a mess, if you clean it up and organize it real quick, that's a small step to ground yourself and just kind of get in there and get in your personal power. Also, and I love that you did say that a lot of, as a coach, you can't do it on your own. As an entrepreneur, you can't do it on your own. And so, a lot of times when you're out there surviving, you think you have to do it alone. I'm just surviving at this point. But entrepreneurship, being a coach, is not about surviving. It's about thriving. If you are thriving yourself, so are your clients. Your clients are going to thrive. So you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And reaching out to those very tried and true support people in your life, that's super key as well. People who, they're not going to tell you what you should do because they think so. They're going to tell you, hey, maybe you should do this because this is what, this is you, and this will ground you back into what you need to do. Or just being a sounding board. Support systems are so essential in life, but you really can't get ahead unless you're surrounded by those really key people are down for you no matter what. So just grounding yourself in people, habits that set you up for success, and keep you in the present tense. You're always going to want to plan for the future, but if you don't know what you're doing right now, you can't really get there, and you're going to be overwhelmed and you're going to be spinning in your circles. So always being aware and focused, and knowing that even when you're all over the place mentally, getting back to your base is important. So I hope that answers the question.
It does. And these things definitely resonate with me. I am very good at getting overwhelmed, and being in the present is something that I struggle with, because I just all these things come at me and I'm like, and then I run into the forest, and then I come back eventually and focus. But what do you think about these tips, Jim? I'm going to deflect. I'm also good at deflecting.
I think they're great. I was going to say, though, Tim, be careful, because you do have the bears and the turkeys and stuff when you're running out in the woods up there where you live. So just point of order, be careful when you run in the woods. At least make sure you have your clothes on. The other thing I would say to what I think has helped me, because you bring up a good point, right? We get overwhelmed. It's prioritizing and not feeling like we have to do everything, right?
Yes.
And whether it's creating a calendar or actually using it, use your calendar, honor those commitments. I think one thing I don't do enough of, that I am, it's kind of like, right, it's almost 2022. We should start planning for success next year. And some of that is set aside time on your calendar for personal development every day, right? And honor that. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to cancel this time and throw a client in there. You got to honor the time for yourself so that you can, maybe it's even just meditating or whatever. But I think that helps a lot, because I think if everything's important, nothing is important. And so you really got to prioritize those things that, and this comes from getting coached, not this is stuff that I thought of myself, but, what are the things you're doing that are not helping move your business forward that you need to get rid of? One of the things that I've done is, whether it sounds bad or not, sometimes we over volunteer, right? I want to help out all these organizations, but then you get pulled into doing more. And so you have to really say, you know what? I've got time for one, or I've got time, so cut back on those things that aren't helping you, even though it may sometimes feel good. I think, some of the other things we have to look at is like, I don't do my yard work anymore, right? We pay someone to do that
Yeah.
because that's time back for me and my family to spend together instead of like, hey, we're going to spend half a Saturday raking leaves, which, you know what, the leaves keep falling, so it's not going to stop. So, I got a person for that. So what are the things that you can outsource that are now going to give you more time to grow yourself and your business? I think is extremely critical to planting the seeds for success. And I say planting the seeds because it's not going to happen overnight. Tim and I started this 3 years ago, right? Or over 3 years ago. And now we're starting to see those seeds of success. The fact that we're getting asked to be interviewed on other shows, or that we've started other shows, or that we're being asked to provide our comments into, blog posts and things of that. I don't think Tim and I, mindset wise, 3 years ago, probably thought it would have been nice, but it wasn't like something we thought could happen. But now we believe it. Now we see it grow. And I think that's part of what, that's getting over that imposter syndrome, right? Like, what, I am good enough.
And honoring yourself too. Like, you're seeing small wins, and it's doing the hard stuff, especially when you're feeling good, because that builds your mental toughness and resilience for when it gets rough and bad and you just want to hide on your couch and eat a pint of ice cream. You're like, nope, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to like hide on my couch with a pint of ice cream for this amount of time. Also, time blocking is pretty amazing tool. If you it's very interesting how powerful it feels to just even look at, what am I doing during my day? Set a time on your calendar for the times you're going to go to sleep. Set the times that you're going to go to work. Within that time of focusing on your business or going to work, what are you doing during those hours? Of course, it's not going to be done to a T, but if you say, okay, reasonably, it takes this long to do this, then perfect. Otherwise, people, and also getting out of the whole 9-to-5 mentality. If you really just are like, you know what, I can do this, this, and this today, and then I really need some extra time for myself, I'm going to run into the woods for about 2 to 3 hours a day. But until then, I'm going to work on this for 3 to 5 hours or whatever. And doing like, oh, this will take 20 minutes. I'm going to stop to eat lunch. And I do love the whole outsourcing thing. And it goes back to support. Even I fell into the trap of, oh, I can't outsource because, right now I'm not making the money. The money's not coming in for me to be outsourcing the way I want. No, if you have a good support system and other people, don't be afraid to say, hey, can we just trade skills?
Right.
And if the person gets offended, that's all on them. But, it doesn't hurt to ask questions, or, okay, hey, can you just be my sounding board for 20 minutes? So there's always a way. And, I know a lot of times too, people are like, oh my gosh, I have to cook and la, la, la. No, there are meal delivery services and there are meal kits, right? So I love the idea of outsourcing. Hey, this is not in my wheelhouse, I can do this for the same amount of money that I usually spend, or I can trade skills or whatever. So there's always a way to really, like you said, be in alignment with what is a priority versus what we think we should be doing because it's so ingrained in our heads.
Right.
Especially reverting back to the 9 to 5 mentality.
And Kara, I love that you brought that up, because I actually just read an article, and I can't remember who wrote it, but it was basically talking about how, like, Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein had what they called no time, which meant that they would just go out, maybe like Tim, wander the woods with no agenda, right? Like sometimes we can overstructure.
Yeah.
And so they would just maybe go out, and I'm sure, especially Tim, because I mean, what the pictures you send while you're in the the woods and the river, I mean, I can just see where you're at peace, you're just enjoying yourself, and guess what? Some of your greatest ideas may come to you during that time, but you weren't going out there with the purpose of, I got to go out here and walk in the woods for 2 hours, and until I come up with 3 ideas, I'm not coming back. That's, I think we have to give ourselves that permission. And I think that's the thing, right? It's okay to structure in your schedule. I'm just going to do nothing. I'm going to goof off, and I think that's what we sometimes, it's like we can almost take ourselves too seriously and forget that. And, you guys both know this more so than anybody. Tomorrow's not promised, right? I mean, that's part of what your show on Tuesday nights is about, right? The things that we go through. So we need to, as I like to say, carpe diem, seize the day, and enjoy the day and enjoy the moment. And I think for me, as I've gotten older, especially since I'm remarried, for us, it's more about experiences and moments than things.
Yes.
And that doesn't always cost money to do.
Mm-mm.
So I think that's, so I think the calendar thing is important, right? And making sure your family is a part of that calendar, or you're not going to have a family.
Yes, definitely. Again, schedule time for your basic needs. I'm taking a shower during this time. I'm reading during this time. I'm hanging out with my kiddos during this time. I'm going for a walk during this time. You can fit it all in. You can fit in your personal development too. The whole idea of everything has to be positive and everything has to be perfect, that's BS. Life is messy, and if you're lucky, you're going to be happy 50% of your life. And that's fine, because there are so many emotions out there that you can experience. You don't want to be happy when something tragic happens. You want to feel the emotions. You want to go through it. You want to get the human experience, because that's not going to hurt you. What's going to hurt you is holding back and not allowing yourself to live. So throw out the idea of perfectionism, because perfectionism is not self-love, it's self-loathing. And the more you just accept that life is messy, the more you honor yourself, and that gets you back to your self-love, so that you can provide that to others in your life, and you can pay it forward to your clients. And, again, get yourself out of surviving and into thriving. And your body is going to thank you too. It's going to move a little more. You're not going to be as tired. There may be times where, hey, maybe you don't get as much sleep because you woke up and you had an idea. Give yourself time for a nap. But just honor yourself and know that, when you do have a big blunder, like, oh, well, I learned, let's move forward. How can we learn from this? What can I do better? Instead of, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. No, you're a failure if you just don't do it. So honor yourself, fall on your face, eat some dirt, just figure it all out, and know that it's going to be a wild ride.
I love how you said that too. And I guess, Tim, this is kind of a radiating real moment for me, we'll say. I know for a long time for me, especially being a Marine, right? It's all about that perfection thing. Like everything's got to be perfect. But I've learned to kind of let go of that and realize, like, you know what? Sometimes it's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. I may notice things, but it kind of gets into that whole imposter syndrome, right? We see like, oh, I messed this up. I messed this up. Everyone else said, wow, that was awesome. And so we beat ourselves up because of perfection. And so I know for me, that's been a big, a big, if you want to call it, leap forward to like, you know what? It's okay not to be perfect because none of us are perfect.
Ah, and awareness too. The more you just let it in, the more you're aware and you're like, oh, perfectionism, it kicked in again, and also with comparing yourself to others too. Just don't do it. Compare yourself to yourself. I was told the other day, oh, wow, yeah, you had such a busy day. I literally couldn't do anything, and it kind of went into the whole self-loathing thing. I'm like, you've had a really rough time lately. It's the holidays too. You got up and you did what you did, and that's a huge success. Just because I was obligated and I fulfilled my time to, have to do something for a while. I did what I had to do and I made the best of it, right? But that doesn't mean that I'm this superhuman, especially when you are, and, whether you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur or just a normal human being, the holidays especially can get some of us super down. And, or even the cold alone, it can make you not really feel like you want to function. And also schedule time for you to just feel blah. Hey, I'm just going to, I love this reel where people are like, yeah, so I'm gonna go and the closet and I'm gonna cry for about 30, maybe 40 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and do my thing. Sometimes even if you have to do that, that's okay. But allow yourself to be human. And I love that, you, Jam, you have recognized that the Marines instilled this sense of perfectionism because, especially in the Marines, I'm sure you had to be this well-oiled machine, for survival. But you're thriving now. And you, like you said, you have a family, you have a life, you have a business. So taking yourself out of that mentality and how do I thrive even when it's messy?
Yep, very true. Tim, what are your thoughts on perfectionism?
My thoughts on perfectionism are, I mean, I over time I've gotten less. I think I'm still somewhat of a perfectionist, at least like when it comes to live streaming and like producing and those kind of things. But to me, the things the thing that's more important, and it's in the name of me and Kara's show, showing up. Like the beginning of our show, it says showing up. And to me, that's the most important part of live streaming, of pretty much everything, is like showing up for, whether it's live streaming, showing up for yourself, showing up for others, is just showing up, and then the rest is going to happen as it's going to happen. But that part is the important part. And I think over time I've gotten less, and even like when it comes to live streaming, like the tech stuff and like that stuff has become less important to me over time. It's like the conversations are the most important part in my head. Like over time, yes, like getting more of that, more perfect. And I know, Jim, you're a lot more into the fancy tech stuff, and that's awesome. But just over time, just like the conversations have gotten more important to me, and what happens in those conversations, and the showing up part has over time, I think, just become more, just that part of showing up and then going from there has become more.
Well, yeah, and Tim, you bring
focused.
up a really good point when it comes to the tech piece, right? It's like we both started with, and I can't even remember sometimes. I think I started, I don't even know if it was with my webcam. It might have been the computer camera, right? And so sometimes it's it's disheartening in a way, because I think it keeps people from showing up, because they see these people like spending thousands of dollars to set up their live streaming, if you want to call it, set. I mean, even our friend Dr. I, right, when she lived in Korea, was live streaming off of her laptop, which I think was on top of her like washer or dryer in her laundry room. And she had a ring
I
light.
remember that. Yes. She's
You
come a
know,
long way.
yeah, so it's okay to do things in steps and pieces that
Yes.
you're comfortable with. Don't feel like, to Kara's point earlier, don't feel like you got to compare yourself to some of these, live streamers that maybe have, a million YouTube subscribers or whatever. It's like, you do you, and that's more than enough.
And sometimes you'll
Yeah.
be spending time on projects or certain elements of what you're doing because you're just really curious and you want to know how things work. That's a great thing. Sometimes, you can get caught up in the aspects of the fine-tuned details, but that can, if you look at it not from a standpoint of ego or not enoughness, but rather, what if I move this over here? What if I, angle over there? Or what if I try this feature? That's healthy. Also, set some time for it too, or else before you know it, you blow into your, running out into the woods time, and then that's not good. But getting curious,
Yes.
and I love that, someone's just going live from their laundry room with a little ring light. That's pretty fabulous.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So as we start to wrap up the show here, guys, let us know what other questions you have for Cara. So Cara, sounds so weird to say Cara. Bessie, how does personal power relate to showing up perspectives on cancer?
Just showing up as you are, just stripping away the perfectionism and the expectation, and just being who you are and sharing your perspective. I love, Tim, that you and I are very huge on, let's construct these questions based on our pre-interview with you, and how can we make this your interview? Yes, we're going to be asking the questions, but this is your story, and nobody can take that away from you. No one can tell you what your story is, and that is the crux of just being in your personal power. You get to laugh, you get to cry, you get to just take moments to yourself to deep breathe while you're thinking about the questions. It's, when you're on the show, it's your show too. And you get to control how you're going to feel about it and how you're going to articulate and carry out the interview. So to me, that's just super important. And I'm highly aware of just that aspect. And so that's how it relates, because it has everything to do with personal power, especially when you're telling such a vulnerable story where so many times you feel out of control. You can't control what's going on. You can't control bad diagnoses. You can't control sudden amazing diagnoses or test results, Tim. We don't know what's going to happen. We kind of hope for the best when it does happen, and then know that if the worst happens, then it's just what happens. And telling that story is, just having those moments where you've already just felt out of control. Just, if anything, this show should be about just feeling like you have a little bit of that power back.
And I love, Cara, that you bring that perspective of personal power to the show. That and that's something that unique that we do on that show, is that we have a pre-interview with our guests, especially because cancer is such a sensitive interview. We want to make sure that our guests are comfortable. We ask them, are you comfortable with us asking? But also maybe more importantly, what are you not comfortable with us asking? Because we don't, not that the conversation is going to be easy in many circumstances. We do try to make it as comfortable as it possibly can be. You know, we're all there to support the person that's on the screen, and all the people like Jim and so many of you who are here in the comments today, like Gail and Rose and other people that show up. We so appreciate you showing up. But that's something that we do on that show for, you know, for that reason, is because of the, you know, the sensitive nature of the show. We want to make sure that the guest is as comfortable as possible, and you know, make sure that we can all show up to support. Yeah.
And I love that you're in alignment with that as well. You should give yourself a little bit of that credit too. You have this intuition and this strong sensitivity around that because of your own experiences. And, you know, you are very much about making sure that it is a safe environment for others. And so I love how sometimes it is so easy to do it for others, you know, and it is easy to pour our hearts and our soul into that show, because somewhere along the line, you know, we wanted that to happen for us and our unique stories and perspectives. So you definitely help bring that personal power and safe space as well, Tim.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Bestie.
Oh, you're welcome, Bestie. As Jim's like, well, that's awkward.
So I'm going to leave the room so I can be alone.
Are you going to leave the room now? Oh my gosh.
Jim's just the best. Hey, best.
Yes.
You're the best.
Yes. Thank you. Jim, do you have any... Well, first of all, Cara, aka Bestie, how can people connect with you if they want to get in touch with you following the show, if they want to work with you or find out more about you? And you also have a podcast and a business and all the things.
I do, yeah. I do. So right now I'm pretty much uprooting my entire website. So that's under construction. You can try to go to it, but it doesn't exist right now. I've literally just torn it apart. So, because I like to come in like a wrecking ball. That's how I live. But you can always find me on LinkedIn under Kara Oelker. And I think I'm the only one there. If not, I'm the only one with my face, my picture, my face. So yeah, if that helps. And then you can also find me on Instagram under @deepenedroots. So yeah, my website should be up and running and towards the end of January. But yeah, and my podcast that started rolling back up again. It has a new intro and outro song, which I'm super excited about. Shout out to Jatovi McDuffie, who helped me with that. And yeah, so that's pretty amazing. Check out my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify. If you just need some conversation and chatter around many aspects around personal power and life and health coaching as well in general, come check out my podcast. I'd love for you to give it a listen. But yeah, find me on LinkedIn or Instagram.
Awesome. Jim, do you have any parting words? Then I want to just go to the comments one more time quickly before we wrap.
No, just Cara, thank you so much for joining us. Great insight for all of us. And you know, there's different types of coaches, right? There's business coaches, there's, you know, personal coaches to help you with your mindset. And but the biggest thing I would say, if you didn't learn anything today, get a coach, then you'll learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or get a bestie, but not my bestie.
Get your own bestie.
Hire that bestie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yes.
Inger says she loves the wrecking ball analogy.
Thank
And,
you, Inger.
Oh, Gord, thanks for being here. He says the first time he went live doing an interview on YouTube, he was using OBS, a newbie, and he had no audio for 30 minutes. He almost had a meltdown. He let go of perfectionism after that reality. LOL.
As soon as I would have found that out, I would have hysterically laughed.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you're a trooper. Good morning, everyone. Great conversation. Thank you, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch.
Sorry, I'm going to stop producing.
You're a great producer.
And Mitch has a brand new newsletter too. You might want to check out on LinkedIn. And I shared it on my LinkedIn feed the other day. He's talking about the metaverse, Web 3.0, NFTs, crypto. Because I'm telling you, no matter what you think about it, you need to educate yourself about it, because it is some of these things that are happening with the future. I mean, the whole ability to do virtual VR meetings, like we use this thing called spatial.io, and we're able to like go into Mitch's art gallery and see the NFT art he had. It was really cool. So for those geeks out there, definitely follow Mitch. He's killing it, not only as the streaming lawyer, but he's keeping out in front of a lot of things. So thanks, Mitch, for stopping by.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to find you and connect with you. You sound like a pretty awesome, knowledgeable human.
Definitely.
Yes. And Rose Horowitz is here. Hey, Rose. She has the Women to Follow live stream show. So everybody check that.
Yes.
And Gail has lots of comments. She said, perfect time to arrive. Taking time to just get away for a couple of days makes such a difference.
Yes.
Schedule time for basic needs. Yes, I went for a bike ride midday yesterday because weather was sunny and relatively warm, and believes she's more productive afterwards.
Good.
Yes. And Elizabeth says, greetings from Santiago de Chile. Thanks for being here.
Mm-hmm.
And Veronica Jeans is also here. She's saying it is so cool, the new stuff happening online. Hey, Veronica Jeans.
Shout out to Veronica Jeans.
And shout out to your hubby, Roy. Tell him I said hello. Yes.
Also, there's another comment by her.
Yeah.
That's pretty helpful.
Yes, producer. This one?
Sorry. Yeah. No, I just saw it and I thought that's pretty awesome. Yes, I'm keeping my old page addresses, but thank you, Veronica Jeans, because she is a very knowledgeable lady as well. So she's a definite authority. But yeah, sometimes it's just good to just make things new and clean.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you, bestie. Thank you, Jim.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Jim. I just appreciate you, especially. You show up for our show so much. And I just, yeah.
It's because I'm a night owl. You know, that we didn't talk about it, but like Daniel Pink wrote a book. And I think going back to your comment about 9 to 5 earlier, we all have, if you want to call it different, if you want to call it, I don't know, biorhythms, the right word, but we function better at different times. We don't all function like from 9 to 5 or from 8 to 4. And to me, that's what this remote virtual world has allowed us to see is, you know, as long as you get the job done, does anybody really care what time it is, unless you're in a specific business that requires, you know, customer service at a specific time? I think that's one of those things that, you know, we all have when we're better. You know, I'm more of a, you know, even though I had to get up early when I was in the Marines, right? I didn't have a choice. Now I have a choice, and I'm not that 4 o'clock in the morning person, but some people are. More power to them. But I'll be awake at midnight when they're sleeping. Right. Yeah. But I think that's important, right? Figure out when you're most effective.
Yes. Love it.
Exactly. And next week, we're going to have Gabe Leal on the show talking about live streaming. So he's always putting the spotlight on all of the LinkedIn live streamers. So we're looking forward to having him join us next week for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. See y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.